Hello, my name is Tom Stiles, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show number 42. Today I'd like to talk about batteries. And again, I always try to preface this by saying I'm not an expert. I'm just bringing this subject up, hopefully get some response from the viewers, get their inputs, and I just tell you kind of the information I know. Not totally encompassing, maybe even make some mistakes, but here's the information. Anyway, I use a number of portable devices, and one of the ones I use a lot is my scanner. Now, this particular scanner I put in my truck and I carry around with me. So one thing is that it's in the truck. Here in Florida, it gets quite hot, and so it gets quite warm in that truck. So that's a little indication of the environment that this radio sees. Now, what I want to talk about is batteries for portable devices. And there are a number of selections. This particular radio, you open it up here, uses a battery pack and uses 4 AA batteries. And what I've attempted to do is try different kinds of batteries and see how they hold up. What I tried most recently is well, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back and talk about batteries. Okay, before many years ago, and me being so old, I remember many years ago, we used batteries that originally were, I don't even remember what they originally were, but then they were, the better batteries that could power these devices were alkaline batteries. So they were the standard for many years, alkaline batteries. Not rechargeable, used them one time, you throw them away. Now, this particular radio, according to the specification, draws 150 milliamps when it's in squelch mode. They don't tell you how much it draws when it's speaking and talking to you. I guess it's because it can vary dependent on how much volume you're using, therefore how much power you're using to drive the speaker. So they don't give you that spec. But I suspect it's probably almost double, at least 150 milliamps, so 300 milliamps. So that's quite a bit of power. And the alkaline batteries do provide quite a bit of power. Now, I did some little bit of research, and it says that alkaline batteries can provide 50 watts per kilogram. In other words, that's the density of the power. And of course, the bigger the battery, say, this is a AA, kind of small. One size smaller is a AAA, and then a C and a D. So a AA by weight doesn't have as much capacity as a C or a D. So there's a limitation right there. So you're limited by the size factor of the AA battery. So an alkaline, as I said before, can provide 50 watts per kilogram. I don't know how many kilograms this is, but that's irrelevant. The thing is the difference of the facts that I give you. Not worry about the exact fact, but the relative difference. Okay, so that's alkaline. Now, the next great invention that came along as far as batteries was not that guy, the ni-cad batteries. They were rechargeable, and therefore you could save, theoretically, a lot of money by using the same battery over and over again, recharging it, over using an alkaline battery and throwing it away. Now, at one time when these first came out and were first available, they were quite expensive, and the ratio between alkaline and the ni-cads is pretty high. It was about, back then, it was about 10 cents for an alkaline battery and about $3 for a ni-cad. Now, the good news is that difference in price has come closer and closer together, so now they're maybe 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, the rechargeable being more expensive. And then there's another new battery out, which will confuse everybody. Okay, so let's go back to the ni-cad. The ni-cad has a power density of 150. That means it gives you 150 watts per kilogram. Now, again, I don't get hung up about, how big is the battery. Let's just compare the numbers. So, as I said before, the alkaline gave you 50. The ni-cads are giving you 150. So as far as power density, the ni-cad was 3 times the power density. Pretty good. But there are other factors. Okay. And I'll go through those other factors once I show you the 3 kinds of batteries I want to talk about. Now, there are a dozen to 20 total types of batteries, but I'm only going to talk about the popular ones and the ones most likely you will use in your scanner or other portable devices. The next one came along, which was the, I'll find one here. Here it is. Was the nickel metal hydride battery. This happens to be a Radio Shack brand. And their claim to fame was a higher power density, that power density is important when you're talking about devices that use a lot of power. Portable devices use a lot of power. One of the biggest power suckers is anything that has a mechanical moving part, like tape recorders, like these little portable tape recorders. Of course, now they don't use tapes. They're all, SD cards and microchips and stuff like that. So they don't use much power. But when they did use tapes and they had a drive, they used a lot of power. So they would go through alkaline batteries pretty fast, and they would go through ni-cads pretty fast. And so the nickel metal hydride battery was the savior because it had that big power density. It had, tell you what it was 250. So it was 5 times the alkaline, almost double the ni-cads. And quickly, very quickly, when these came on the market, the price dropped. It was quite high, but it dropped very quickly. A lot of vendors started making them, and the price just went down to nothing. Well, not down to nothing, but it went down so that there was no need to go to a nickel cadmium rechargeable battery because the hydrides were about the same price and they had more power density. So that's the 3 kinds of batteries. Now, there are some other factors that will play into what I'm using it for. And one of the other factors is something called self-discharge. And that means how fast the battery, the type of battery, will discharge itself. Now, the alkaline batteries are very good as far as self-discharge. They will only self-discharge. In other words, sitting on a shelf or sitting in your radio not being used, they will only discharge themselves like less than 0.3% per month. That's per month. Again, don't get too tied up in the numbers and stuff like that. Just the ratio of 0.3 to alkalines. Alkalines are, they discharge in 1 month 20%. So they've lost 20% of their power even if they're not used. So very quickly, I mean, if that was linear, which is not, it's exponential. If that was linear, that would mean in 5 months the battery would be dead again without even using it. So you charge it up, sit on the shelf, and you go to use it, and it's dead. So that's a big factor in alkaline, non-rechargeable, and ni-cads or nickel hydride rechargeable batteries. No, so the alkaline is 0.3. This one, which is the alkaline, this ni-cad, is 20% in a month. And the metal is 30%. So you can see, boy, these babies will discharge pretty fast. I mean, they're discharged in about 3.5 months without even using them. So those are the numbers. So the alkaline gives you the lowest power. No, I take that back. The alkaline gives you the highest power. No, I'm sorry. I'll get these numbers right in a minute. I'll just say what the numbers are. Alkaline is 50, ni-cad's 150, and the nickel cadmium is 250. So when they're fully charged, the nickel cadmium is going to give you the maximum power capability when they're fully charged. But if they sit, then they will discharge the fastest. So that means if you're using it in an application such as your scanner, and your scanner sits a lot, like mine does in my truck. I mean, I only have it on when I'm going to and from work or going to the store or whatever. It's the only time I have it on. So it's sitting there discharging all that time. So keep that in mind. Okay, now this is what I've found for this application, which is my scanner. Here's the properties. Number one, it sits and is not used at least 90% of the time. It's just sitting out there in the truck. Number two, it's in a hot environment. Don't have any specs for what temperature does to the charge capacity. But keep in mind, the nickel hydride, for instance, discharges itself at a 30% rate, and that's probably rated at room temperature. May discharge itself a lot faster when it's 120 degrees like it gets in my truck during the day. So for that criteria, the alkaline is best because it doesn't discharge hardly at all, even probably at temperature it doesn't discharge. So I have used all three of these types of batteries in my scanner. And what I have found is that and as the numbers say, the nickel hydride discharges and is dead or doesn't have enough power to drive the scanner within a few weeks. The ni-cads are a little better. They might last 4 to 6 weeks. And the alkalines will last 3 or 4 months. So that, based on those numbers, you would choose the alkaline battery for this particular use. Now, the disadvantage of that choice is these are throwaway. Whoops, they're the throwaway or drop away. They're throwaway, and that means it's a high cost. Because right now, those batteries are running me about 50 cents a piece, where I can get even the nickel hydride, I can get off brands like Radio Shack for like $1.50 a piece. So these are costing me 3 times the price, and I can use them over. Let me see. I guess the numbers here: recycles 500 to 1,000 times I can recharge this thing. But because the life of the battery, as far as being charged, is so short, I find myself taking my scanner out of the truck, bringing it in the house, taking the batteries out, putting a new set of rechargeables in it, putting it back. I do this with the metal hydride, I do it every 6 weeks. And a lot of times I'll bring it in the house and I'll forget to put it back in the truck, and I go somewhere and I'm like, oh, I don't have my radio anymore. That's not good. So I have concluded, pick this battery off the floor that I dropped, I have concluded that the alkaline for my use, for my scanner radio in my truck, is the best. It lasts longer. I have less downtime for my scanner because I don't have to remember to put it back in the truck and change the batteries out. So I'm using alkalines, even though it's costing me more, because this is the one-time purchase, throw it away, and then you buy another one, where the other ones you use over and over and over again, and basically almost don't buy another set. So that's my choice. I like your inputs on that. What else have you noticed or found or seen? Another one is HT. HT has its own unique factors in that when you're transmitting on that HT, you're really pulling power out of those batteries. And in some cases, they don't recommend that you use ni-cad batteries because you're going to discharge those ni-cad batteries so fast. And a lot of those, not a lot, but a number of, and the phone rings. Great. Sorry for that. I never get phone calls except when I'm recording something. But I'm not going to record this over. It's just you have to live with it. Anyway, so I forgot what I was saying. I guess it's not important. Anyway, calling back. Too bad this recording program I have doesn't have a pause, but it doesn't have a pause, and that's going to ring about 10 times before the recorder picks it up. So we just have to wait it out. Okay, stop ringing. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't know. So if you have any feedback about your experiences, please let me know. Oh, I was talking about transmitters. HTs, transmitters, using hot power. So that's another circumstances altogether. Now, one other thing I want to talk about is when you do use rechargeable batteries, it's good to have a good charger. And I have found this charger. I found this on Amazon. Somebody else was telling me about it on another podcast. And it's the Lacrosse Technology BC 9009. And it comes in a kit. And the kit has the charger system, 4 AA's and 4 AAA's, plus 4 C and 4 D size battery adapters, which allows you to use the AAA's and the AA's in this little adapter, so that it can be used in an application that requires a C or D. Okay. Now keep in mind, you're kind of cheating yourself, because whatever it is that needs a C and a D, it probably needs the capacity of a C and D battery, which you're not going to get out of a AA or AAA. So I'm not sure that's that useful. And it comes with a travel bag. And it sells today. Now, I got it when it was on sale for $35. Right now at Amazon, it's $45.95. So I guess I got a good deal. But anyway, that's the LaCrosse Technology BC 9009 Alpha Power Battery Charger. Now, this is not just an ordinary battery charger. It does several other things, and I'll tell you about a couple of things it does. And here's what it looks like. You can charge 4 batteries at a time. It has a display for each battery down here on the bottom that tells you what's going on. Now, what it can tell you is, number one, it can tell you the charge rate and how many milliamps it's charging it at. And if you wish, you can change the charge rate for each individual battery. Also, it has a test mode. Now, what this test mode does is you put your batteries in here and you select the test mode, and it discharges the batteries completely. Well, not completely, but it discharges the batteries. And then it recharges them, and then it puts a load on them, and it measures the battery capacity, which is what I was talking about before, about different types of battery have different power capacity. And it measures that. This is all automatically. It measures that battery capacity. And the one thing you will notice, that if you use different kinds of batteries, and I mean nickel hydride. This is a nickel hydride battery charger only. I take that back. It also charges nickel cadmium. But if you use, say, for instance, 2 different brands of nickel hydride, this will test the capacity of those different brands to give you an indication, and they vary. As a matter of fact, they're marked. Let me see what this one's marked, for instance. They're marked. Their capacity is marked. Here it is. It took me a long time to find it. This one says it has a capacity of 1,800 microamp hours. Now, you could buy another one that has a capacity of 2,400. And they range from the old ones, the ones that came out originally only had 1,000. And then they went up to 1,200. And then they went to 1,600. And so the capacity kept going up and up and up. Now, whether you can believe what's written on here or not, I don't know. But this tester will tell you. And for instance, here's these are, let me turn them over. These are real no-name ni-cad, not ni-cad, nickel metal oxide batteries. They came with some outdoor lights, rechargeable outdoor lights. And the brand name is IDC. Real well known in the battery business. Right. And most of the writing on here is some other language than English. But anyway, I tested one of these yesterday, and it's rated. Let me see if they even give a rating on here. Yeah. Boys, I don't know. I can't believe this is as low as it is. It says it's only rated at 350. And when I tested it, it tested at about 325. So I didn't realize this was so low. I was thinking this should have been at least 1,500, and it was like 325. And I was like, boy, this is really a junky battery. But it's only rated at 350, and the analyzer tester recorded it at 325. So that's a pretty good test. So anyway, that's one of the other functions besides just charging that this thing can do is it can test the battery, test the power capability. So that's good information. Now, he can, like I say, it's only, the other thing is it's only for AA's and AAA's. That's all it's for. You can't charge a C and a D, and I haven't ever bought any C or D rechargeable batteries. Anyway, and like I say, it's pretty expensive, but it does a good job. That you do get 8 batteries, some no-name batteries. I don't even remember what the name was. And you get the adapters if you want to use them, and you get a carrying case if you want to ever use that. I keep mine set up all the time. It comes with a AC adapter that plugs into it here, and away you go. You charge 4 at a time. That's it. So anyway, that's a little insight to batteries, both alkaline and rechargeable, and a specific application, which is my scanner. If you have any information or comments, corrections, please leave a comment or send me an email. So that's the show for today. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.